Hello everyone, my name is Jackie and today I'm doing my January wrap up and book haul. I'm going to start with my book haul because I've bought quite some books in January. The first series I bought in January is the Mortal Instrument series by Cassandra Clare. Most of you probably know what it's about, but for those who not, it's about a girl named Clary whose mother is kidnapped and she gets thrown in this world of shadow hunters. There are demons and angels and warlocks, vampires, werewolves and fairies. Another series I bought in January is The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. And this book is also set in the Shadowhunter world, but in Victorian England. And that's all I know about these books. The next book I bought is by Mary Janice Davidson. The German title is Manche Bison heiß, and the English title is Undead and Unwary. This is book number, I believe, 13 in a series, and it's about a vampire queen and just her life, and it's a funny read. Okay, the next book was on my TBR for a long time, so I finally bought it this month, and it's Wonder Woman by Leigh Bardugo. This is an origin story of Wonder Woman. It's the first book in the DC Icons series, written by Leigh Bardugo, Mary Lou, Sarah J. Maas, and Matt De La Pena. It's about Diana, the Princess of Amazons, and one day she saves a girl called Elia from drowning, but Elia is a war bringer, so these two have to stop a new world war. Next I bought the Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Riggs. I got the Peculiar trilogy for Christmas, but I haven't read them yet, but I wanted the tales, which are just kind of fairy tales or something like that, set in the world. Next I bought another highly anticipated book. It's Travels All the Way Down by John Green. Most of you probably know what this is about, but for those who don't, it's about a girl named Asa who has OCD. And it's an own voices novel because John Green himself has OCD. I loved all his other books, so I can't wait to read this one. Another book I got in January is actually a very late Christmas present, and it's Decluttering Card by Rochelle Mead. Decluttering Card is a card where young girls, mostly servants, can go and learn to be a lady, and then they're shipped to a new world where they are married. This is about a lady who disguises herself as a servant to be part of the Glittering Court and go to this new world. The next book I won in a giveaway, and it's Dorota Communicating by Victoria Aveyard. This is the German edition of The Red Queen, and I don't really know much about the synopsis, but I will read it probably, hopefully, very soon. The last book I got in January was the Fairy Loot Book of the Month, and it was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is about a girl named Jude who, after the murder of her parents, is brought to the land of fairy with her two sisters and is raised by the murder of her parents. And now she's 17 and tries to find her place in the world of fairy and tries to become their equal. So that were all the books I bought in January, and now we're coming to the books I read this month. For reading this month wasn't so good for me. I was in kind of a little reading slump. It's only a few books, but I'll show you this. The first book I read in 2018 is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. This was a great book to start the new year because it ends in the new year at New Year's Eve, or probably the day after. And it was fun, it was sweet, I flew through it. It's just overall a really enjoyable story. It put me back in a Christmas mood and I liked it very much. So I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was the Fairy Loot Book of December, Everlast by Sarah Holland. This book is about a girl named Jules who lives in a world where time is a currency, and her father runs out of time, so she goes and works at the estate Everlast. There she discovers a lot of secrets. I like this book very, very much. I like the idea. It kind of reminded me of In Time, the movie. It's a great book and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, I don't own a physical copy of. It's called Das kalte Blut by Chris Kraus. It's a German book by a German author. The title you could translate to The Cold Blood. And it's about two brothers who live in the 20th century. They're part of the NS, but the story is told way beyond that. It's their whole life told. From when, just before they are born till they're 70 years old, I think. It was a really thick book. It's over 1,000 pages. While it was really slow and not really my book, for what it was quite good, so I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This was the first read for Emma Books Read Along, in which we will read all the Shadowhunter novels throughout the year, ending with Queen of Air and Darkness in December. So this was my first time reading it in English. I actually read it quite some times in German, and while I always enjoyed it, it wasn't really that great. I never finished even the Mortal Instruments series, and I enjoyed it so much more. It's so great in English, it's so much better than the German translation. That's something I realized in the last few months about lots and lots of books. So I'm really glad I have it now in English, and I'm reading it now in English. And I just have to say, this cover is so beautiful. I so love this cover. And I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read I also don't own a physical copy of. It's called Libras by Irene Divac. It's also a German book by a German author. And since the title is a name, I can't translate it. And it's about two women in the early 20th century. One of them is called Gisela Libras, and she is very beautiful but can't sing. Still, she becomes a famous singer. The other one is called Ida Gussendorf, and her husband wrote a famous opera, but no one knows that actually she wrote it. And it's about those two women and their true story and how the story is changed later on. It's set in Austria, which is my home country, but this is really, really not my kind of book. It was slow and it was not what I wanted to read at this moment. So despite it being really thin, I took really long to get through it and I didn't enjoy it, and so I had to give it 2 out of 5 stars. The next book I read sat on my shelves quite some time. It's The First Magnus Chase by Percy Jackson. Magnus Chase and the Sword of Summer. This is about Magnus Chase, who turns 16 and dies. He then wakes up in Valhalla and tries to save the world, as always in Rick Riordan's books. I loved so much about this book. It was so funny. I had such a great time reading it. It reminded me a lot of the Percy Jackson books. It was just such a fun read, and I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed his pop culture references, which were great. And what I also very much enjoyed were his references to his other books. I found it so funny. I can't wait to read the other 2 books. And I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. The last book I read in January is Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. I've never read much about superheroes, and I didn't know much about Wonder Woman when I started it. I only have seen the movie just a few weeks ago, so it's another origin story. And the book tells the story of Diana and Elia. Diana leaves her island, leaves her home to save Elia's life, because there are lots of people who try to kill her because she's the Warbringer, and if she survives, there will be war. So these two try to escape, the man who tried to kill Elia and also the man who tried to save her, so that she will be the Warbringer, so that there will be a third world war. It's sometimes told from Elia's perspective, sometimes from Diana's. I would love to read more about her, to be honest, but I don't think I will get any more. But I will gladly read the other DC Icons books. And I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. So that are all the books I read in January or bought in January. If you have read any of these, let me know what you think of them. I would like to talk to you about it. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!